in super aggressive ways. So everyone just decides to turn towards those who are comfortable and try to find a way to be okay. And it's consistent throughout. I can't think of too many people that Destiny has really severely disagreed with that have stayed or stuck around. It's usually the fucking conservatives that keep coming back for more. Nick and him have fought how many times about how many intense subjects in so many intense ways with screaming matches and all this other shit, and Nick still comes around. But these other people, it doesn't. There are very few. I can't think of too many that stay around after a big Destiny blow up. Can you guys?
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Rust is 16 years old, has more packages. Hi friends, my name is Tris, and this is No Boilerplate, focusing on fast, technical videos. Today, I hope to show you that Rust is ready for use in your company in production now. Not only that, but if you're not using Rust, you're missing out on a sea change in how we build software. Rust is 16 years old, has more packages than NPM did in 2012, has first-class support on all enterprise clouds, and has in-browser support with WebAssembly for 5 years. It has been the most loved language according to the largest developer survey on the planet for 7 years. That's every single year since 1.0, and it's not even close. I don't think Rust is perfect, but I think Rust can allow you to write perfect code. While it isn't perfect, Rust's compromises are excellent. The Rust team seems to have chosen the exact features I wish I had in all the other languages I've used over the last 15 years. Rust has all the features I want, and none of the features I don't. It's not even that interesting a list. Rust isn't flashy, it's boring. You know what isn't boring? Seafaring in the ancient Mediterranean. If you were a sailor or a merchant, you would understand that you would just lose ships to the sea now and then. So it was, so it has always been. Most of the sea was unexplored, and there were monsters, no doubt, taking the ships. These were the risks that you had to accept to operate on the high seas. You know what else isn't boring? Software. And I don't mean that in a good way. In our field in 2022, everyone accepts that there are some things you just have to deal with in order to write software. Some lies programmers believe about software include, but are not limited to, that software must be built with unknowable layers of abstraction, scaling horizontally is the best way to solve your problems, syntax is your enemy, low-level speed and high-level ergonomics are mutually exclusive, and if you don't use YAML and JavaScript to solve your problems, you will have to use XML and Java. I have been a web developer for 15 years, writing backends in Python, Ruby and Node, and frontends in various JavaScript frameworks. I am tired of writing bullshit that I can't guarantee, and I'm not alone. Linus Torvalds is not an easy man to please. As you probably know, Linus created and oversees the development of the Linux kernel. He is a detail-oriented man who cares about reliability over all else. And yet, when Rust support was recently merged into the Linux kernel, many veteran developers decried this step as bowing to a flashing, fashionable new language. The idea that Linus would approve of Rust due to peer pressure is laughable to those who know his reputation. Linus is absolutely right to be so conservative. Nearly every computer used to show you this video, from your Wi-Fi router to the network systems in your school, company and ISP, to Google's global video distribution network, is running this kernel. There are islands of Mac devices, but Linux is the ocean. There are clouds of Windows networks, but Linux is the sky. We are not talking about your pet projects or your company's production projects. We're not even talking about real-time banking software and hospital systems that are shipped when they satisfy the business requirements. We are talking about Linux. Linux has to be perfect. Rust is not the first language to be tried as an alternative to C to write the Linux kernel. C++ was proposed 25 years ago, but failed to meet Linus's and the community's extremely high standards. C++ is not good enough for the Linux kernel, but Rust is. And Rust, despite being a better language to write the Linux kernel in than C, is also a fantastic web development language, on the back end and front end, with superpowers JavaScript can only dream of. This is Jack Dorsey, who built Twitter. Twitter started out using a Ruby on Rails monolith, then switched to a Scala backend and microservices. Jack didn't build Twitter with C or C++, even though they are fast. He's a web developer. He used a high-level language. Rust is also a very high-level language, and the web development side of the community has delivered. Rocket, for example, is one of the handful of stable, feature-rich back-end web development frameworks the Rust community has built. If you write your web server in Rocket and your program compiles, many things are guaranteed before you even test them, such as all get params are handled, all return values are valid, no SQL injection, there are no invalid data pathways in your code, no memory errors, no null pointer exception, no nulls anywhere in Rust, as a matter of fact. Rust has no heavyweight, slow abstractions. Code compiles down to for loops and if statements, running on bare metal. Your app will have a predictable behavior profile as you scale, unlike Java, JavaScript, and Go. This predictable runtime behavior is something Discord recently adopted Rust to achieve. By the way, did you know I run a Discord server? Come chat about Rust, programming, or my other projects, Lost Terminal and Modem Prometheus too. For a few years, Discord's backend was mostly Go and Erlang, a functional concurrent programming language and system. But Go was not fast enough for Discord, or it was, but every 2 minutes there would be these latency spikes. Those who have worked on distributed systems already know what the problem is, because no matter what the language, this kind of spiky graph always has the same culprit. Garbage collection pauses. Once the Discord team exhausted all optimizations for Go, they had to switch to a language without a garbage collector, and they chose Rust. Even with just basic optimization, Rust was able to outperform their hand-tuned Go version. After a bit of profiling and performance optimization, Rust beat Go on every single performance metric. Latency, CPU, and memory were all better in the Rust version. But you don't have to wait until you experience production issues to adopt a language without the compromises of a garbage collector. Rust is ready today. Let's look at another example. Cloudflare recently rewrote their core proxy service because Nginx was not fast enough. I'll say that again. Nginx was not fast enough. The fastest industry standard web proxy written in C was not fast enough. Pingora, their pure Rust replacement, uses 70% less CPU and 67% less RAM while serving 1 trillion requests a day. What Cloudflare did is move from a two-component system, Nginx scripted with Lua, to a single-component system, Pingora, written in Rust. This is an example of Rust's universality. You do not need a highly striated system with slow applications written in high-level languages and fast plumbing written in C. Rust can do it all. Though Rust can be used in your entire stack, from bare metal chips to back-end web development to in-browser with WebAssembly, there are some tasks that the Rust community can currently help you with more, and some they can help you with less. You can still do everything if you're very clever, but in one case you'll be able to rely upon more community code, and it's here I recommend you start, just as Discord and Cloudflare did, with lightning-fast back-end web development. I keep saying fast, but what do I mean by that? Rust is as fast as C, and in a world where most popular languages are many times, sometimes hundreds of times slower, this is paradigm-changing. But how much faster is it than the other languages we use to write web today? Well, it's complicated. Benchmarks differ wildly. I'm sorry if the numbers in your favourite benchmark don't match mine. The only thing we can hope benchmarks agree on is the approximate order of fastest languages and slowest languages. This is my attempt at generalizing benchmarks into categories of similar speed languages. The values here are deliberately approximate, but you get the idea. Each category has enormous error margins of the order of about 50%. And even then, many languages swap around depending on what type of benchmark you do. But whatever benchmarks you look at, Rust dominates. The elephant in the room is that most of the time, pure language speed doesn't affect your app as much as these numbers suggest, because we're waiting for network, disk, or other I/O. Cloudflare were using Lua until recently, for example. But a very important area that does matter is in development ergonomics. Language speed affects development time enormously. If your tests run in 1 second, pipelines deploy instantly, transpilation is all done inside the compiler, and the language is rich enough that linting itself is also handled inside the compiler, then you can iterate faster, both your team and all external contributors. You and I would not be here talking about Rust if it was another fringe language that people are excited about but don't use. Perhaps I'd be talking about Haskell or Clojure or Julia, 3 languages I love very much, but would not build a team around today. There are more Rust projects on GitHub than Scala, Swift, and Kotlin. Another metric to look at is how many third-party packages Rust has. The answer is about 100,000, about the same as NPM had in 2012. Rust's package manager is very clever and worth a detour to talk about. Rust's package registry is called crates.io, and the package tool is called cargo. When running a package registry, you have the problem of what to do with bad package versions that either have unacceptable bugs or security vulnerabilities. We want two incompatible things. We want packages to be idempotent and perennial, but what we build today should build in a decade. But we also want to allow package authors to be able to remove bad versions that should not be used. The way Cargo solves this is clever. Package versions can't be deleted, they can only be yanked. A yanked package can still be used if it is in your project's lock file, so existing projects will not break, but new projects cannot use this version. Cargo will display an error and advise an upgrade. This is an example of Rust's commitment to backwards compatibility without compromising new features. Rust has learned from both C and C++ and has a sensible middle ground, as illustrated by this comment. Code written today will be guaranteed to compile in all future versions of Rust, while still being able to be used with future code we write in new versions of Rust. This system is called Rust Editions. As of time of recording, we are using edition 2021. This is what is meant when we say there will be no Rust 2.0, as that suggests a breaking change. Rust will never have breaking changes. As I have said in previous videos, the last 40 years have been written in C. The next 40 years will be written in Rust. It's not a question of if you will adopt Rust, but when. Rust is ready now. Are you? If you'd like to see what you can write in Rust, click the top video. I used it to make a fun retro computer visualization for my sci-fi podcast, Lost Terminal. Or if urban fantasy is more your bag, click the bottom video to listen to a strange and beautiful podcast I produce called Modem Prometheus. If you'd like to support my work, head to patreon.com/noboilerplate. Transcripts and compile check markdown source code are available on GitHub, links in the description, and corrections are in the pinned errata comment. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you on Discord.
You have slain an enemy. Destroyed. An ally has been slain. been destroyed. Shut down. Enemy double kill.
What a year! What a glorious year! Not only did Elon Musk have to go and tear down the very Hyperloop prototype that he made to turn it into a car park, he also had to give an absolute masterclass in how not to run a business. I mean, I've several times compared Elon Musk to Elizabeth Holmes, and people say, this isn't fair at all. And you're right, it's not. Elizabeth Holmes had a one-off loss of about $10 billion. Turns out Elon Musk has been losing value at that rate every single month of this year. Follow me on this one for a second. Recently, Liz Truss became the shortest-serving British Prime Minister ever, after a truly catastrophic run where she came, she saw, she ignored reality and proposed borrowing her way out of debt by giving tax cuts to the rich, and after a few days came within hours of destroying the British economy. An almost unimaginable fail festival, leading to the meme, which will last longer, Liz Truss or a lettuce? The lettuce one. And Elon Musk takes one look at that and says, that's not a fail festival. Now this is a fail festival. Now I know what you're thinking. There's responsible media out there that will pick up on these obvious shortcomings like you can't balance an economy by borrowing your way out of debt. Well, guess again. The Daily Mail heralded Truss's arrival as cometh the hour, cometh the woman. And finally, a true Tory budget. And how, with their instincts for backing losers, have come up with this. How Elon Musk seized control of Twitter in a dramatic $44 billion takeover that sparked a liberal meltdown. Which goes off the rails almost immediately when you realise that just to get rid of these 4 people, Musk paid some $200 million. Yeah, I'm sure they were totally devastated about the liberal meltdown with only their combined $200 million to keep them company. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how they're going to sleep at night. But yeah, the same cheerleaders who were all for the budget that almost sank the UK, well, they're saying Elon Musk buying a train wreck in a dumpster fire is totally going to save free speech by triggering the libs. Yeah, spoilers, lettuce memes on standby. And within a week under Musk's leadership, it's gone from humour is now legal on Twitter to I will insta-ban anyone who doesn't clearly label parody, especially of Elon Musk, as parody. Yes, apparently The Onion's now going to have to label itself as parody because humour is only legal on Twitter if clearly labelled as such. The irony being, of course, is he banned H3H3 for parody and satire, despite clearly being labelled as parody. With others just being called Elon Musk parody, getting banned for, hurt feelings. Gosh, did someone say thin-skinned? Then, of course, Twitter was going to be politically neutral, because it's really important to have the CEO with no political alignment. Oh, what's that? Musk is now saying vote Republican. You know, because it's going to moderate things or something. Yeah, someone's clearly never studied history.
We will be part of a big red wave that says enough is enough.
Up next, Elon Musk ready to ride the big red wave.
Elon Musk tweeted massive red wave.
Massive red wave.
Massive red wave.
Massive red wave.
You're about to see a red wave that makes day after tomorrow look like nothing.
And spoilers, the red tsunami never happened. Nor did the red wave. The red ripple? Maybe? But not only that, the very candidate that Elon Musk said he was going to support in this massive red wave ended up losing. But the funnest thing is the sheer size of the economic black hole that Elon Musk dug, filled with snakes and burning oil, and has just jumped in. We're not only talking about the world's richest man here, but the man who knows more about manufacturing than any human alive on Earth.
At this point, I think I know more about manufacturing than anyone currently alive on Earth.
I mean, this man built a car factory in Europe. What's that? Tesla's European factory needs more water to expand? Oh, don't worry about it. I'm sure Elon Musk has this all in the bag. I'm sure he had a clear answer to this when he was opening the plant.
One question, critics say that Tesla is stealing water from the region.
This region has so much water. Look around you.
Tesla plant that is crucial to the company is now on pause as officials in the drought-stricken region try to find enough water.
No, this is completely wrong. It's like water everywhere here.
The company's contract with the German government says the factory is expected to consume the same amount of water every year as a city of more than 30,000 people. And here's the problem.
Does this seem like a desert to you?
Brandenburg has for years been in the grip of a drought.
That's ridiculous.
What were you expecting?
It rains a lot.
And here's the thing. I was actually in Berlin recently, and my comment at the time was, Germany is one cigarette away from a funeral.
This region has so much water. Look around you. No, this is completely wrong. It's like water everywhere here. Does this seem like a desert to you?
Okay, danke schön.
That's ridiculous.
What were you expecting?
It rains a lot.
Yeah, and of course, in the Elon Musk zone, you're going to get lots of people correcting him that he was actually factually wrong here. You come down and it's like, no, this guy's a legend. Elon inspires me every day. Love Elon Musk. His laugh was priceless. Yeah, it's almost as priceless as his laugh at buying Twitter. So let's start with how much he paid for Twitter, which, depending on who you ask, was somewhere between 2 and 4 times overvalued. So right out of the gate, he's paid about $20 billion too much. Which is probably why, Mr. I don't care about the economics at all. I'm just buying it for free speech.
Yeah, but I mean, I could technically afford it.
Spent most of the summer filing lawsuits to try and wiggle out of buying Twitter. But of course, Musk couldn't afford to just buy Twitter straight out, so he had to get a load of fellow investors who also believed in free speech, like Saudi princes to chip in the odd $1 billion here or there. Yes, our good free speech-loving Saudis were the second largest investors in Musk's takeover of Twitter.
It's important to the function of democracy. It's important to the function of the United States as a free country and many other countries, and to help freedom in the world.
Which is, of course, why Elon Musk thought it was important to get the Saudis involved with this. And yeah, something like a third of Tesla's cash flow goes through China. Meaning both to be thanked by China and the Kremlin. Yeah, I wonder why some people are a little twitchy. And of course, Elon Musk bought Twitter at the worst possible time, when inflation is going up like crazy, which means interest payments will be high. Which means that just the interest payments alone of the loans that Elon took out are going to be about $1 billion per year. So not only did he pay way over the odds for Twitter, he paid it for a company that has really struggled to make money. I mean, let's just take a quick look at this graph, where their most profitable year ever, they made about $1 billion, and their worst year, they lost about $1 billion. And over the last few years, they've lost about $1.5 billion. Musk's payments alone are $1 billion, so he has to, at minimum, get it up to $1 billion in the black within a year. And to get the $44 billion that he paid for it back, well, let's just say that's going to take one. So at the beginning of the week, when Elon bought Twitter, it was worth $44 billion. By the end of the first week, it was worth $41 billion. Which means that he was such a genius at running the company that its value depreciated by $500 million per day. But if you think those numbers are high, I regret to inform you, that's actually the normal rate that Elon Musk loses money at these days. So at the beginning of the year, when Tesla was riding the massive stock bubble, and of course that bubble constitutes the vast majority of Elon Musk's wealth. Sorry, someone here annoyed? Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, Elon Musk was worth about $340 billion. As of today, he's worth about half of that. Mostly because if you invested $1 in Tesla at the beginning of the year, it's now worth less than 50 cents. I wonder if leadership had anything to do with it.
This region has so much water. Look around you.
So to make our numbers easy, let's say he's lost $120 billion over 12 months, so $10 billion per month is the rate that Elon Musk's net worth has been depreciating at. That's roughly, give or take, 1 Theranos per month. So yeah, losing $3 billion over Twitter, I mean, it's a lot of money. But this doesn't matter, because Elon Musk made it very clear when he was buying Twitter. He didn't care about the economics at all. He was doing it for the benefit of mankind.
It's important to the function of democracy. It's important to the function of the United States.
But you've described yourself.
I don't care about the economics at all.
I want to hear. This is not about the economics. It's for the moral good that you think it will achieve.
Which is a little weird thing. Since he's bought it, he's done nothing but complain about the economics. Which is particularly lush, seeing as there is zero chance that he will be able to balance it. And you don't have to know a lot of math to figure it out. So his original genius idea was, why don't we charge those blue checkmark people money to keep their blue checkmark? Now, originally, those blue check marks served as a sort of identification mark. The person was who they said they were. But now, apparently, anyone can have it. Apart from it, they signify that you are safe on the call. They signify that you paid Elon Musk $8 per month to get a little blue thing by your name. And apparently, because Elon Musk loves free speech so much, you'll be algorithmically demoted if you don't have one. But you just do your little back of an envelope calculation. So, $8 a month is about $100 per year, that sort of thing. And if there are 500,000 people with blue check marks, that means the best case scenario, assuming everyone signs up for this, means you're only going to get about $50 million off this. And his interest payments for the loan that he took out alone was $1 billion per year. Okay, well, what about all the staff he laid off? Well, apparently he laid off the best part of 4,000 staff. And let's say they all get a reasonable American salary of $50,000. By firing the majority of their staff, he's only saved about $200 million off his budget. Assuming you can fire half of your staff and not have it significantly affect your business, and charging overall check marks saves you about $250 million. I mean, even if he fired all of his staff and could run his business without any of them, he still has to find a way of increasing Twitter's profits by $500 million per year just to break even. But that's not the only thing Elon was whining about. Apparently, all of his advertisers are now leaving. Maybe he's reading the room that the first thing that Elon Musk did when he took over Twitter was tweet some conspiracy theory about the attack on Pelosi's husband. Musk later deleted it, a privilege that's not allowed to the rest of us. It seems that some people's free speech is more equal than others. But the advertisers probably looked at that and thought, I don't like the way this party's going. And seeing as Twitter makes some 90% of its money from adverts, that's a problem. Which may be something to do with the fact that he laid off half of the staff, and this might actually make people think that he's not going to take moderation as seriously anymore. But it turns out that advertisers kind of care that their stuff is hacked. This is why places like 4chan, 8chan, and porn websites have classically struggled with advertising. It's kind of like Musk is finally working out that maybe Twitter wasn't the way it was because of liberal bias, but because that's the way it had to be if it needed to get ad revenue. And Musk's response on Twitter has been seen to be believed. Twitter has had a massive drop in revenue due to activist groups pressuring advertisers, even though nothing has changed with content moderation. No, really, we've just fired half of the staff and everything is exactly like it was before. Extremely messed up. They're trying to destroy free speech in America. Which he actually means people not giving me ad revenue is destroying free speech in America. But don't worry, Elon's going to use his amazing interpersonal human skills to woo back these advertisers. Responding to a tweet saying that maybe he should consider naming and shaming the people who boycotted putting ads on Twitter by saying, thank you, a thermonuclear name and shame is exactly what will happen if this continues. That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Elon. That'll put the jittery advertisers' minds at rest, that they're dealing with an adult who can deal with things in a mature fashion, not a petty, vindictive child who will throw his toys out of the pram if you don't give him what he wants. Yeah, I mean, thankfully Elon's got a complete monopoly here, and there's nowhere else that the advertisers can go. Maybe just a little reminder about why Elon Musk was buying Twitter.
But you've described yourself.
I don't care about the economics at all.
Once again, this is not about the economics. It's for the moral good that you can achieve.
So today we fired Twitter.
For those who think this is some maybe brain fart tweet, Musk will be much more coherent in person. Let's take a look, shall we?
To be frank, Twitter was having pretty serious revenue challenges and cost challenges before the
Yeah, you mean that's when you decided that this is a company that I really need to pay over the odds for because it's not making any money.
So, and then also recently had a lot of difficulty with the activist groups, especially major advertisers, to stop spending money.
Activist groups, Elon? Are you sure it's not just, say, because of this?
So today we fired half of Twitter.
This is despite us doing everything possible to appease them. It's making clear that moderation rules and hateful conduct rules have not changed, and we're continuing to enforce them.
So you should cut your staff in half, but you want the people to think that that's going to have no effect on how the platform is run.
But this doesn't seem right.
Yeah, made no changes whatsoever, other than firing half the staff.
But nonetheless, the activist groups have been successful in causing a massive drop in Twitter advertising revenue, and we've done our absolute best to appease them.
Yeah, remind me again what exactly you did to appease them? You know, all I've seen so far is firing half your staff.
So this is a major concern, and I think this is frankly an attack on the First Amendment.
Advertisers getting jittery and not wanting to pay you money is an attack on the First Amendment.
If activist groups can pressure advertisers upon which Twitter is not dependent,
that's a boycott, and it's not even remotely a new idea, nor is it particularly an anti-free speech idea, in that people are democratically choosing not to buy your products. You know, it's a sort of power to the little people type thing. A consumer revolt.
to, suppress free speech, then that doesn't seem right.
Oh, please don't clap that moronic diatribe. God, if you think like that, nah, he's just getting warmed up.
How am I trying to achieve with this sort of enabling everyone to be payment verified?
Oh yeah, I don't know why more platforms don't enable people to let them give you money. It's such a philanthropic thing to enable people like that. Oh, not this crap again. Facebook went through all this authentication thing, and it was just so they could get more accurate marketing data off you to sell. The thing was that Facebook just required you to use your real name. They didn't expect you to pay $10 a month, just to prove that you were real. And to entrust your credit card number to a company that's just laid off half its staff. It's not obvious that that's a train wreck waiting to happen. Especially since after firing all those people, they had to scramble to hire some of them back. Because they hadn't really done that much due diligence over who they were actually firing or what jobs they did. And you want me to give you my credit card numbers? Yeah.
As many people payment verified as possible. It's only $8 a month. Although some people that were complaining about that, and these are people who pay more than that.
Wow, sick burn, Elon. Allow me to retort in sick burn Twitter fashion. $220 billion man who just fired 3,500 Americans needs your $8 to turn a profit. You can spare that price of a cup of coffee to help a billionaire sell your free speech back to him.
It's part of its revenue, part of it is payment authentication, and so if somebody, because there is a huge problem with spam and bots, trolls, and organizations trying to manipulate public opinion.
And your response to that is, well, I don't really know how to solve those problems, but I can charge people money in the meantime.
But if we get enough verified users, and we're going to prioritize Twitter research, by verified users first.
Yes, like the clearly blue check marked under the new system George W. Bush is. Who says, so what if I did 9/11? With fake Tony Blair chiming in, same to be honest.
We're going to prioritize Twitter search, replies, mentions by verified users first.
And George Bush saying, I miss killing Iraqis. Sad emoji. So you're going to promote the tweets from people who pay you $8 a month? Like, you think that's outside the budget of state bank?
Payment verified.
So Twitter's current system of lords and peasants is now being replaced with exactly the same system, apart from where the lords have to pay you $8 a month. Okay, so that's what's going to happen to us. Russia's tweets, because they're paying Elon Musk $8 a month. Now tell us what's going to happen to the peasants, the normal people who don't pay $8. Surely you're not going to effectively shadow ban virtually the entirety of Twitter by demoting their free speech to the bottom of the pile, the bottom of the list, where no one will ever see.
You'll have to scroll far to see the unverified users, which will be the bots and trolls and whatnot.
That's something we don't see. It gets pushed way down.
Yeah.
So for normal people, there is basically no reason to use Twitter, which now effectively reduces Elon Musk's base from which he's going to have to earn his $1 billion a year to 500,000 verified Twitter users. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to rain on your parade or anything, but I wouldn't get a blue check mark when they were free, because Twitter is cancer, and there's no hell I would pay to experience this treatment, let alone with Netflix subscription companies. Don't get me wrong, it's fairly entertaining to watch, but it was a train wreck before Musk. Now the only difference is it's a burning train wreck in a dumpster fire, being driven by a clown. And talking about clowns and transport, Elon Musk no longer owns a Hyperloop Tesla. Not that he really owned one to begin with, it was more just a rusty tube outside SpaceX headquarters. It's now been taken down to make a car park. Okay, so I was actually really quite looking forward to going back to seeing anything that would increase the speed over a car on the street. They just never got the pressure down low enough.
Each built their own prototype pod that could eventually carry humans 700 miles an hour.
Well, it seems very futuristic, but Elon Musk just got a step closer thanks to some of the best young engineers in the world.
Conceivably, the trip from New York to DC could take just 29 minutes. That same trip on an express Amtrak train right now take nearly 3 hours.
Oh, wow, Joe. Can you imagine you guys?
Thank you.
New York to DC.
Oh my gosh, what a dream.
Basically, it's a very small electric car.
Musk was elated with the results.
Now, transportation experts say we're still probably several years away from sending ourselves down these tubes in major cities.
Or maybe more accurately, it's years away from being cut up and turned into a car park, because future of mankind. And how do I know that it's been derelict for years? The reason I say this, of course, is because there is actually, this is the Hyperloop test track here, and it's been out of commission long enough that Google Maps has updated a rail track going through the middle of the This work for years. It's been like a refund of the decaying corpse of the Hyperloop. It's maybe worth remembering back to 2017, where everyone was all over this inspirational new mode of transport, including universities from all over the world.
His concept, people traveling underground in a powerful vacuum tube, brought 24 engineering teams from across the country and around the world to a competition at SpaceX headquarters.
Our team alone, with just 27 members, represents 12 different countries. MIT's motto is mind in hand, and Hyperloop really puts the mind and hand work together.
The fact that it was a 100-year-old idea, long discarded as impractical, didn't bother them at all.
The race for the future of travel is moving fast. Billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk is one step closer to making his ambitious plan to build a high-speed underground Hyperloop a reality.
Yeah, it was literally everyone was saying how incredible this brilliant idea was. Except for one lone voice in the wilderness. In fact, it was a good week for the Hyperloop all around. Virgin have now taken their name off Virgin Hyperloop. You know, that was after laying off half their staff and saying they But then, Musk gets on Twitter again to say that Hyperloop testing at full scale had begun. And it's like, hang on, that's a car in a tunnel. You know, the Hyperloop is meant to be a vacuum tube in which trains run at near supersonic speed.
His concept, people traveling underground in a powerful vacuum tube, conceivably the trip from New York to DC could take just 29 minutes.
That's a car driving in a tunnel. What's more, not just a regular tunnel where you can drive in and out of it. No, you put a door on the tunnel for some reason. Now you might say, that's because they want to put a vacuum on it. In which case, newsflash, cars are dirty. Put them in a vacuum, you suck all of the air out of the cars. So if you suck all of the air out of the tunnel, you will kill everyone in the cars. So the new amazing Hyperloop system, which was going to be pods with air bearings traveling at 600 miles per hour, is now a regular car driving in a regular tunnel. Apart from the tunnel now has a door on it for some reason. You know, I thought the Musk fans did away that, you know, when he was promoting the Loop, futuristic underground tunnel system where cars would travel at 150 miles per hour. Sorry, where pods would travel at 150 miles per hour, because there's nothing more efficient than putting a car on top of another car to drive it in a tunnel. And then when it became clear that had zero chance of being able to deliver this, he tweeted out that now it was much simpler. It was basically just cars driving in tunnels.
Finally, there's something that I think could solve the goddamn traffic problem.
Oh my, there's a traffic jam.
Skate that the car was lowered down on will navigate through the tunnel. No driving required.
This is still slow. We're only doing 28, 30 miles an hour.
God, oh my God.
We'll be able to go like 150 miles an hour if we want. I mean, you can think of these like wormholes in like, oh, I need to get to the other side of LA or New York, whatever. Drop down the wormhole, pop out the other side.
Transporting passengers 40 feet underground at about 30 miles per hour.
And believe it or not, to the fanfare of his fans, he said that they'd simplified the loop to cars driving in tunnels, which was way more profound than it sounded. Now, he's doing exactly the same thing, but with a Hyperloop. He's just simplified it a lot, and now it's just a car driving in a tunnel. Something that's actually been around for quite some time, Elon. We've had this sort of Hyperloop testing at full scale for about a century now. And on the heartwarming news that Elon Musk is selling off even more of his massively overvalued Tesla stock and crashing the stock price even further, that's today's video. If you enjoyed it, drop a thumbs up on it. Consider subscribing not to miss out more great content like this. And as ever, if you really enjoyed the work of this channel, you can support it directly through Patreon. And thanks for watching.
Greatest shooters ever made. The gameplay, the characters, the world surrounding the game, everything just makes this game so goddamn good. Look at this funny little monkey dancing on the cart, in which the entire enemy team did not realize that that funny little monkey was on the cart for the whole minute and then proceeds to backcap. Like, is that not funny to you? Like this game is just so goddamn goofy sometimes, and I absolutely love it. But this game has become one of the most scummy and greedy games I have ever seen. Picture this for a second. You're a new player who just installed Overwatch 2, and you've never played Overwatch 1 before. You saw Overwatch 2 was free, so you thought, yeah, might as well try it out. You're having a good time playing the game and all, and then you want to unlock some skins or cosmetics for your favorite hero with whatever currency you might have earned. And then you realize that even after several days of playing, you have nowhere near enough currency to even buy a single skin. After all of your hard work of grinding this game for hours and hours on end, you're basically given nothing. At that point, would you just quit? This is what is essentially the new player experience, and many people have likely felt this way when playing the game for the first time. People like games where they can grind the game towards an eventual goal, whether it be a skin, an emote, a highlight intro, anything really. People like being rewarded for their efforts, for putting their time into a game. Basically, every game does this, even free-to-play ones. However, there is no progression in this game aside from the battle pass. No! No! There is basically no reason to keep playing this game aside from just playing it. But you may think, oh, you can earn Overwatch points for completing challenges, then you can save up for whatever you want. You want to know how long it'll take you to buy a single legendary skin for free just by doing challenges? Let's say you want to buy a skin because you think it looks cool. You can get up to 60 Overwatch coins per week since there's no other way to earn them besides buying them. And yes, even the Battle Pass does not offer coins. And yes, this is time-gated. You're only able to earn up to 60 per week and nothing more. So theoretically, if you were to play it every week and earn all 60 coins per week, which is a pretty big time sink, it would take you roughly 32 weeks or over 7 months to earn this legendary skin for free. Not to mention, this is a skin that Overwatch 1 players could have gotten for free back then. And since it's unrealistic that someone would be playing every week to earn all those coins for 32 weeks straight, it'll probably take you. Well, what if you don't want to go through that entire process of grinding the game every week for a single skin instead of just want to buy it? For this Genji skin, let me reiterate that this is full content that was available for free in Overwatch 1 if you got enough box of payment points. You would have to pay $25.99 Canadian or $18.99 for you Americans for this single skin. Want to know how much I paid for Overwatch 1, which is basically just Overwatch 2, it's a much easier rewarding way to earn cosmetics? $20. Technically I bought it twice, but yeah. The whole point of games like these is to keep players playing in the first place. That's how you grow a community of players that will keep playing your game because they always have something to look forward to. Overwatch 1 did this by giving players loot boxes every time they leveled up and eventually introduced more methods to get said loot boxes and also earn currency at a reasonable rate that they could use to unlock whatever cosmetics they wanted. This monetization system does the exact opposite of that and keeps players away from any reward unless they actually want to cough up some cash. But you might also think, but the Battle Pass gives players something to look forward to because even free players get things to unlock as well. That's the thing. players want to unlock things they actually want rather than something in the Battle Pass. The Battle Pass isn't personalized. The things you can get from it are not going to appeal to literally everyone. Players also want to unlock things that make them feel unique in a way. At least that's what I think. What I mean by this is that players want the freedom to unlock whatever they want in the wide range of cosmetics available, instead of following a Battle Pass and not feeling unique in a way, since everyone else is going to unlock said cosmetic as well. Whatever they unlock in the Battle Pass, it's not going to set them apart from any other player doing the exact same thing. And looking at the free lineup of things players can unlock, it's not very exciting either. This shit is just a huge slap in the face to both Overwatch 1 players and new players as well. New players are basically told, well, you didn't buy Overwatch 1, so you get literally nothing, sucks to suck. And returning players have their way of earning cosmetics taken away from them entirely, when their original game was also taken away from them entirely. As a returning player, I feel that it's extremely scummy to put a completely new paywall on cosmetics that were already in the game before. You simply cannot justify that a skin that was already in the game is now worth over $20, which is the same price as when I bought it. Hypothetically speaking, all of my skins that I currently have were to be bought by the monetization method, excluding the battle method. I have complete skins and all the Bastion skins I have, because at the time of recording I cannot see how many skins I have for Bastion. It would cost around 259,800 Overwatch coins, since I have 112 rares, 43 epics, and 78 legendaries. And keep in mind, this is only the skins. I'm not even including all the emotes, highlight intros, sprays, or any other cosmetics that I may have. Converting to real money, buying a pack of 11,600 coins would cost you 130 Canadian dollars, 95 USD. You would need to buy this pack roughly 22 times. Let's be generous and say we only need to buy this pack 22 times in order to get all the skins that I currently have. All of this would be equal to roughly 2,860 Canadian dollars, or 2,900 USD. Because yes, that is definitely worth it for what is essentially 300 hours of playtime on Overwatch 1. This just, it feels wrong. Hell, some people are even asking for loot boxes back. Like, that is something you'd never expect from a game's player base. Hey, post-editing me here. So, the Halloween event rolled around, right? And I was expecting Overwatch to let you buy the old event cosmetics with legacy credits, because you could do that before if you didn't get them in a loot box. But, to my surprise, you can't. You can't even do that. A feature that you could have that you could have done in Overwatch 1 is just completely gone. You can't even use the legacy credits that I have. I have 10,000 right here. You can't even use them to buy old event skins like you could before. They've literally devalued the fucking currency in this game. I did not expect that to happen. What the fuck? I'm actually fucking mad right now. I'm not even joking. I'm actually mad right now. What a fucking shitty company, dude. But in the end, people will say they're just cosmetics. Who cares? And they're right. They're just cosmetics. They don't affect the game whatsoever. Who the fuck cares? Let's say in this beautiful utopia that every Overwatch 2 player is perfectly fine with not unlocking a single cosmetic outside of the Battle Pass. You think the game would be fine then, right? Well, that's where the exception comes in. The only exception to this are the new heroes that are going to be released every season. Overwatch's content is now being released in seasons like literally every other fucking multiplayer game right now. And every season, at least one new hero will be added into the game. But there's a catch. You can only play this hero if you buy the Battle Pass for that season, or play all the way up to Battle Pass level 55 to unlock them for free. This completely changes everything. Not everyone is going to have the time or the money to get these new characters, and as such will not be able to play them. Sometimes the thing that brings people back in the first place is because they want to try out the new characters that get released. But this is basically Blizzard saying, fuck you, you can't play this character unless you either play the game for long enough or buy them via the Battle Pass. Not only does this do the exact opposite of bringing back players when updates come around, but it also completely changes competitive and the gameplay as a whole. A lot of competitive games boil down to what is essentially known as counter-picking, where a certain hero on a playing Junkrat against Pharah, you usually switch off them to deal better with that character. Soldier and Free, because they're better with dealing with Pharah because they're hit skin. Yes, I know I called them abilities, you can't get you in Cassidy. But what if you need to counterpick to a character you don't have on well, what do you do then? What if the enemy team has a new hero but the team doesn't? What if the hero becomes meta-defining and can't even use them because of one kind of issue? We're already seeing this with Rico, where she is now available and competitive, yet some people don't even have her in the first place. The more characters that get released under this method, the more of an issue this is going to become. More and more characters will just be locked behind paywalls or time gates. Hell, if these characters come out and are insanely broken, Overwatch, the game that I thought would be fair regardless of how much money you spent on it, be classified as a pay-to-win game. If this shit keeps up, Overwatch 2 is going to die even faster than Overwatch 1. Some people may be coming from other games like Valorant and saying that they have the exact same thing happen to them too, and that it's not that big of an issue. The main difference between Overwatch and Valorant is that you cannot counter-pick in Valorant. Once you select a character, you cannot change your character in Valorant. While in Overwatch, people change characters all the time because that's how the game works. I don't even think the PvE will save it at this point. I have very little hope for this game in the future unless they change all the things that I mentioned in some way. First of all, make all the heroes free from the start, regardless of when they were released. If you want this game to be fair for all players, locking characters behind paywalls or time gates is a horrible idea and will kill your game even faster. Cosmetics, aka things that do not affect the gameplay, should be the only thing that you're able to purchase. Second of all, make skins more accessible for all players. I've heard a lot of people talking about how games should give out legacy credits like before. If you don't know, legacy credits are basically just any money you had left over from Overwatch that you can use to buy or if they give you like 25 credits per game you played, that would actually allow people to buy it if they wanted without having to wait literally months to get just one skin. Maybe if you play a certain hero enough, you can unlock certain stuff for them or whatever. I don't know, just make it more accessible for people to get stuff in the game. Players should be rewarded for playing the game, and obviously people like being rewarded, because the more people like your game, the more likely they are to spend money on your game because they like it. And let's be real here, nobody is going to buy these old-ass skins for real money. If you buy these skins, you are literally getting scammed out of your own money when you could have bought them for free in Overwatch 1 if you saved up. I guarantee that like 90% of the money they're making is coming from new skins and not ass ones, so I don't think they should really be worrying too much about older content in terms of how much they're making off of them, but I don't know. These are just some suggestions. Realistically, I don't think they're going to do anything about it, but it's nice to think that Overwatch needs something. I would hate to see the franchise just die once again with the shitty decisions that Blizzard made. A lot of people, including me, love this game, and I've seen it from its glory days back in 2016 to a shell of what it is now. It does make me just upset to see them do this, but as a spark of hope that tells me that things will get better. Blizzard has been known to read community feedback a lot, and if people speak up about it, they might just actually do something. Nah, just kidding. This game's gonna like die in a year or some shit.
has been slain. An enemy has been slain.